I'm tired of people saying that you have to upgrade your camera to make professional films. It's not any of the equipment that you use to make a film that makes it professional. It's you releasing the vision inside of you that makes powerful, heart-stopping films despite whatever obstacles gets thrown your way. I really do not like the way the lighting is falling at the moment. I do feel like some of the shots were a little shaky. Welcome to shooting exteriors, where the weather kind of does whatever it wants. This is starting to feel like more than just a little bit of rain. That's why I chose the ZV-E10 instead of my normal $10,000 camera rig to shoot one of my most recent TV commercials, a cheesy local commercial for a client that I've worked with for years. So in this video, I'm gonna bring you along for every step of the process I took to shoot this commercial on a little so-called beginner camera. And if you've got a Sony ZV-E10 and are in the market to improve your films, make sure to check out my top 10 recommended lenses and accessories for shooting cinematic films on the Sony ZV-E10, a special video not on YouTube that you can find linked in the description below. All right, now buckle in for a wild ride.
I like you. Joe, not so much.
I'm not gonna use my expensive lights, I'm gonna use these cheap lights. 1:37 in the morning. It is officially finished. Time to send it to the client. Okay, so right now we're gonna go out and shoot the previs. We're shooting in 3 days from now. And the big thing that I want to look at right now is how the lighting is just kind of naturally falling at this time of day. So I've got my lovely wife here to stand in for us. And you can see on her face, look at these shadows. She's beautiful, but the shadows are not. So the first thing that we're gonna think about is where the sun is at this time of day. So basically the sun is right up there, right behind me. And that's like the worst possible angle that you could have it in, because that's how you get these gross shadows under your eyes like we have here. So really, I don't want to have to light this video, because normally when I shoot a scene, I do end up having crew of some kind, at least some hands on set to help me position the lights and the cameras and that kind of stuff. But since this is a kind of a low-key shoot for us, and I'm gonna be shooting it at my house, I'm just gonna set up all the lights in advance. I can just have them here overnight so we don't have to carry in or do any of that. If we do shoot it this time of day though, we're going to have to do some kind of lighting. So you can go ahead and set that tripod up, because we're gonna set the whole camera rig up here in a second. But basically the first thing I wanna do is just figure out what angle I wanna shoot at. So let's go ahead and pull the car out. And let's see what this looks like. So I really do not like the way the lighting is falling at the moment, especially on her face, but more than just on her face, the way that it's falling on the house itself. You can see, if I run over here so you can see a little better, there's this weird cutoff on the house, like the lighting cutoff there, and it looks really bad on camera. I was gonna schedule it for around 1 in the afternoon, and I was just gonna deal with the lighting if I had to, but I really just don't like the way the whole scene looks at 1 p.m., which is the whole reason that we are doing previs. It's the reason why previs is important, to find out these kind of issues now, not when we're on set with talent, and we don't have any flexibility to make these kind of changes. So we'll be back here at 3 o'clock. We'll see you then. If you follow the channel at all and have seen some of my films, you probably realize that my work usually takes itself pretty seriously. That goes for commercials that I produce as well, which means that this one, being a cheesy local commercial, is a little out of the ordinary for me. The client came to us asking to produce the visuals to a jingle that they'd been running on radio so that they could run it on a local TV network as well, and they already had the storyboard drawn. The company fixes broken windshields and other car glass, which obviously isn't something that people really get excited about getting done. Most people would rather keep their car out of the shop as much as possible. So this commercial's taking an ironic twist on that by having our two actors come out one morning to find their windshield broken, and they couldn't be more excited to get to work with Magic Glass, my client. The whole commercial is going to be coded into 90s cheesy commercial energy, from a Mentos commercial reference to an ending freeze frame. But that's enough about that. Let's get back outside and see how the lighting's doing. All right, here we are getting ready to shoot this again. It's 4 o'clock now, and you definitely can see behind me, you see how all those shadows are cleared up. You can go ahead and set that tripod up. It's looking way better out here. Hopefully this is going to be good enough. So like I said, it's 4 p.m. It's possible we're gonna have to wait until the sun gets just a little bit lower for it to look good, but it's definitely looking better at least. So let's take a look. How's it coming?
I'm working on it.
You're doing great.
Thanks.
So that's about where you were. So let's take a look at how the shadows look. Now see, it's all shadow now. There's no sun or anything. So in this case, we would definitely have to bring in some kind of light to get the kind of shot that we're wanting to get here. I really don't want the shoot to go too late. So, I'd hate to do like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. But in the middle of May here, sunset isn't until like 9:30 or 10 p.m. So it takes a while for the sun to get very low in the sky at all. So I think we'll go ahead and come back around 6 or 7 tonight and see how the lighting's looking around then, and then make our decision on 4 p.m. versus 6 or 7 p.m. and see what our best choice is going to be. So here I've got the Sony ZV-E10 rigged totally out like I'll have it. This is what I used when I shot my story, the short film I shot on the ZV-E10, and this is what I'm going to use for this commercial. We've got the monitor rigged up, we've got the lens, we've got the whole cage rigged here on a tripod. This is how I'm going to shoot pretty much the whole scene here at my house, and everything that you need to build out the rig like this is going to be linked in that top 10 lenses and accessories for the Sony ZV-E10 video. I'm going to have everything you need to rig it out like that in that video. So go check that out if you haven't already. For this commercial, not only am I limiting myself to just shooting on the ZV-E10, I'm also going to be sticking to just one lens, the Sigma 30mm f1.4. But believe it or not, the camera and lens isn't what's going to make this video look great. We're actually going to be relying on our lighting to do the heavy lifting for us. When it comes to shooting exteriors, the most important thing to getting professional quality footage is how you position your talent in relation to the sun. When the sun is directly overhead, as we already saw, it gives those terrible looking shadows under the eyes. While that definitely could be fixed with some good lights and diffusion, in this case, it also gave some pretty unflattering shadows on the background as well. So how do you use the sun to get a more professional cinematic look? Well, the key is choosing the right time of day, which is what we're going to be doing now during our previs shoot. Generally, sunlight is going to look the most cinematic the lower it is in the sky, especially in the hour before and after the sun rises and sets. The exact time that this happens changes depending on time of year and where on the planet you live, but this time frame is called golden hour, and around this time of day generally is best for shooting exteriors. So I actually don't want to shoot at golden hour, and the reason for that is because the lower the sun gets in the sky, the warmer it looks coming over the horizon. So right now, it's starting to look a little warmer than it was earlier, but it's not totally golden like it will be at like 9 o'clock tonight around then. I mean, imagine what a sunset looks like. It's warmer than the sun looks when it's in midday. So I definitely feel like it is looking a lot better right now than it was earlier. I'm gonna have my lovely wife here step right on over there to where she will be, and you can see, go ahead and look at me. You can see that sun is giving her that nice golden look around the edge, like around the edge of her body. It's backlighting her there. It looks super, super nice. Look how much better it looks than it looked earlier today. Now, the big thing is her face is still totally in shadow, and so does mine now, but the house does look way better now. A lot of the front yard by the house is shadowed out now. There's still a little bit of sun in the actual yard itself, but by the house is looking really nice. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna frame up the shot and see what it looks like on the ZV-E10. We're not gonna pull the car back out, but look how much better this looks now with the sun down at the golden hour setting like that. It's probably at a 30 to 40 degree angle up in the sky right now, and it is looking way, way nicer. So I think that around 6:30 is right when I'm gonna have them get here. Like, we'll probably have my talent get here at 6. We'll start shooting somewhere around 6:15, 6:30. Right now it is 6:30, so I think we're right in the window that's gonna be perfect for shooting this. So all we're gonna need to shoot this location is just the camera, tripod, and one light, and then we're gonna be good to go. We're not rolling any sound for this because we're just using the pre-produced audio that they've been running on radio. So all we gotta do on the shoot day is position the car, get everything like we want it, bring in one light, set up the camera, and we're gonna be good to go. After the talent comes out to find their broken windshield in the commercial, then we need footage of our client's technicians actually fixing a broken windshield. So now we're gonna travel across town to their shop and capture what we need there. All right, so we're on the way to Magic Glass now to shoot the B-roll section of the commercial. Like maybe a third to half of the commercial is gonna end up being this B-roll that we're about to shoot. And this is just gonna be some B-roll at their location of their techs just replacing windshield, just doing their job. Basically, we're just kind of gonna look over their shoulder and get some footage. We do this every couple of months anyway, because we actually manage their social media as well. And this is just the kind of footage that we normally get for that. So Lexa, my wife, is coming with me today, and she's gonna to shoot some social media content while I'm shooting the commercial. She's also going to be getting some behind the scenes video so that you can actually see what it looks like when I go out and shoot a commercial like this at a client's facility. What kind of words of wisdom you got for us today, Alexa?
Coffee is wonderful.
Wisdom of the day, coffee is great. I've never had coffee in my life, but Alexa's a big coffee drinker, especially for early morning shoots like this. All right, so for a shoot like this, normally I like to just handhold the camera, but the problem with the ZV-E10 is if I just handhold the camera, it's gonna end up being way too shaky because there's no in-body image stabilization in the camera. Now, the reason I wanna handhold something like this is because I don't know exactly what they're gonna do. This isn't scripted, this isn't planned out. I'm just gonna zip in and get shots of them, and I kind of just have to be super flexible. So you could use something like a gimbal if you wanted, but I prefer a monopod just because it kind of lets you keep the handheld look, which personally I just like the handheld look, just a personal preference of mine. So here I have it on the monopod and I'm ready to get in there and start shooting.
You guys are bad luck. I wish we worked together all the time. I like you. Joe, not so much. You're all right.
Ryan, stop struggling on camera.
Shut up. That sound wasn't the clip breaking, it was my wrist.
So shooting with a cage like this is super nice for a shoot like this. It gives me 2 points of contact with the side handle. It also gives me a grip extension there, so it's a little easier to hold on to. And the battery power is super nice. I literally never have to worry about changing my battery or anything like that because of this. Now, I made a full video breakdown of this rig and how to put it together with links to all of the equipment you're seeing here and all of that. So if you want to see that, I'll make sure it's linked in the description below. But other than that, let's get back to shooting. This would be a great shot if you would not look like you wanted to break the windshield yourself.
I have one look when I do this, Joe. It only looked forced if I was to enjoy it.
That's the shot I'm using, yep, that's it.
Oh yeah. Oh, that was my wrist. That was my other one.
See, don't you have just so much more
Not
fun
struggling.
at work?
Still not struggling. Smiling all the way. Yay, this is fun. Come join our team at Magic Class.
Kind of ironic, I talk about monopods all the time on this channel. I never actually have really enjoyed shooting on monopods. Like, a monopod is not my go-to, piece of stabilization, but I do like, my preferred way of shooting is handheld. I love the look of handheld. I pretty much always shoot handheld when I can, but with the ZV-E10, it's just gonna be too shaky if I do that, which is why I pull out the monopod. It's really easy to go up and down. It's not just the look of handheld footage that I like to get out of the monopod, but it's also much easier. Like with a tripod, you gotta do 3 legs to go up and down. With a monopod, it's very easy to go up and down. You get a lot more like side to side play with the monopod than you would ever get with a tripod. It's just a big reason that I love shooting with a monopod with the ZV-E10, even though I've never been a big fan of monopods. The shoot's over, how you feel?
Good. It went well. We have fun with it, we joke around with them. Makes for some good commercials.
I don't think Ryan was joking.
Well, it's kind of he hates that we're there, but tolerates this sort of relationship.
It's kind of ironic that you were shooting on a $5,000 camera, the social media content the whole time, and I was shooting on the $700 ZV-E10 to shoot the actual TV commercial.
Yeah.
All right, we just sat down to import the footage. Feel pretty good about it. I do feel like some of the shots were a little shaky though, so I'm a little nervous about that. And the focus, since we didn't light the scene or anything, I was having a lot of trouble with the autofocus. So I feel good about it, but I'm a little nervous about the focus, especially that I think some of the footage is gonna be blurry, but hopefully I've gotten enough that we're gonna be okay. We've wrapped the B-roll shoot though, so dealing with that shaky footage is gonna have to wait for editing. So let's fast forward a few days to the big talent shoot so we can get this project finished up. All right, so it's about 3:30 now. I've gotta be on set in 2.5 hours ready to shoot. Talent's gonna be there at 6, so I gotta have all the lights and everything set up by then. I'm in the studio now and gotta get all this garbage packed up so that we can be ready to shoot at 6. Let's get it. Normally when I shoot commercials and things like this, I tend to hire some extra crew hands just to help out with moving equipment, getting the lights and things like that set up, because it definitely can be a lot for just one person to handle. But since we're only shooting at my house and there's not a lot of location restraints, and just in the spirit of showing what's possible with one person on a little camera like the ZV-E10, we opted to not hire any additional crew for this project. So it's just me doing the setup, but I will have Lexa around during the actual shoot to help just make sure everything goes smoothly. But not having the extra crew hands ended up being the least of my worries as I started on the setup. Well, welcome to shooting exteriors, where the weather kind of does whatever it wants. It's raining now. If it doesn't stop raining, we may end up postponing entirely, but the forecast says that it should clear up, and while there are some dark clouds behind me, a lot of the sky still looks pretty clear. I can still see the sun up there behind me peeking out through the clouds, so hopefully it's just a little bit of rain and we should be a-okay, ready to shoot. This is starting to feel like more than just a little bit of rain. It wasn't even supposed to rain today. The forecast has said clear skies all day. All right, so it has officially started thundering, so that's great. So I'm gonna go ahead and start setting up my lights here in the garage so that we can just pull them out there right when it stops raining. As long as it stops raining, we're still gonna shoot. It's still gonna be great. It's just about 5 o'clock now, so hopefully in the next hour it clears up. I originally was gonna shoot with all my lighting equipment, like the normal package that I use when I shoot everything, because when I shot my story, I intentionally only used like $1,000 worth of lights. Like I intentionally did not use very many lights at all to shoot the film. And the lights that I did use were super inexpensive because I really wanted to make sure that anybody who watched the film, you didn't think, oh, well, he was able to do this with a $1,000 camera because he used $10,000 of lights or something like that. And so when I decided to shoot this project, I thought, well, I've made my point and I've done my good thing. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and use my normal lighting package. But as I've been unloading the equipment, I can just hear somebody leaving the comment, well, yeah, of course you can shoot a commercial that looks professional even if you have a cheap camera because you have all these great lights. The lighting is really what makes the big difference. You really should spend your money on lighting. And I just can't get the voice out of my head, so I can't use it. I can't use my expensive lights. I'm gonna use these cheap lights because it's not the camera, it's not the lights, it's not the microphone, it's not any of the equipment that you use to make a film that makes it professional. It's you releasing the vision inside of you, taking all of your life experiences and everything inside of you and releasing it to the world through film. Using whatever tools you have at your disposal, that's what makes an awe-inspiring professional film or a successful commercial even. So for this project, I'm not gonna use my expensive lights. In my top 10 lenses and accessories that I've got linked in the description, one of the things that I talk about in that exclusive video is some lights, some really budget-friendly, cheap lights that you can use to make professional looking videos and films. And so shooting this commercial, I'm gonna limit myself to only using the lights that I talk about in that ZV-E10 lenses and accessories video. With that said, I'm gonna go ahead and finish rigging up these lights. So now the dark storm clouds are over there and the sun is over here above us. It's no longer raining over where we are, which is great. It means that we're gonna be a-okay to go ahead and shoot the film. I can actually still hear the thunder coming from the storm clouds behind us, but we're not rolling any audio, so we should be good to go. Short wife, I believe in you. Also, it's a good thing we're not rolling audio. Now, I'm definitely not saying that you shouldn't spend money on lights. I'm not saying that at all. Usually it's better to upgrade your lights before you upgrade your camera, your lenses, and that kind of stuff. But my point just being, it is so much more important that you learn the skills and expertise behind the principles of filmmaking than it is to just shove money into equipment that you don't know how to use. Because if you know how to use the equipment, you don't need to spend lots of money on it. You can use cheap stuff like this and get the same quality result. So I'm gonna put an ND on the camera, but I don't have an ND filter that fits lens size, the filter thread size. All I've got is a 82mm thread, and I think this is a 57mm lens, not in terms of focal length, but in terms of filter size. So I've got these stepping rings that basically, I'm gonna put the filter on one side of the stepping ring and the other side on the camera, and that'll let me adapt my 82mm filter to my 57mm threading. right, so we've got our lighting set up here. My mic fell off, so I'm just gonna hold it for a minute. But we've got two Aperture 100Ds, one over here and one over there. And basically those are the only two lights we're using for this whole commercial. You can see we've got this one boomed out over the car just to get it a little bit closer. I would have liked to use a light with just a little bit more power, but with it boomed out over there like that with the C-stand, it ended up being just fine. Really, I wouldn't want it any brighter than it is like this. Brightest light in the scene obviously is gonna be the sun. Now right now it's behind a cloud, but for most of the shoot it's been out. Plenty of harsh sunlight hitting our subject, and so basically this key light is just helping that light wrap around the subject a little more, so it's not just a harsh light and then all shadow on the face. And then the other light over there just keeps the far side of the face from falling completely off into shadow. With that said, we're gonna be using the Sidus Link app on my phone to control the lights, to control the intensity of it so that we can match when the sun goes behind a cloud, comes out, that kind of thing. I'm gonna be letting Lexa, who's behind the camera right now, control that for me, and I think we're gonna be good to go to shoot. They're gonna be here in just a second, and we're gonna go ahead and shoot. So with that said, we may not get a lot of footage of us actually shooting the commercial because we're gonna be focused on getting our shots. We don't have a BTS videographer, so we may just not have a lot of actual behind the scenes during the shoot, but we've pretty much covered everything relevant for you beforehand, and we'll probably cover a little bit after as well. So even though you won't be with us when we actually are pressing record, you're pretty much getting the experience of being here on set with us. Cut. Incredible. I love it. Great work. All right, so we just wrapped up the commercial here. So now the next step of the process here is gonna be editing. So I'm actually gonna go back to the studio tonight and start in on the editing. Hopefully I'm gonna get the whole thing wrapped up tonight. It'd take me about 2 or 3 hours to edit if I was editing it like normal. But since I'm gonna be bringing you guys along with me, it might take a little bit longer, but we'll see. But hopefully we're gonna get wrapped up tonight, sent out to the client tomorrow, which is gonna feel great. So it's currently 10 p.m. and I just sat down to start editing. I was really hopeful to be here a little bit sooner. I sure wish that I had made the decision to not use the big, heavy, expensive equipment before I lugged it all on and off of set. Definitely would have saved my back a little bit. Right now I'm all sweaty and I feel gross, and honestly it probably took maybe an hour and a half longer than it would have if I just brought, you know, the couple cheap lights that I ended up using. But it is what it is. Here we are, and we're gonna get started editing in here just a second. My game plan for this edit is to start by attacking the B-roll that we shot at the Magic Glass shop location. Basically, I'm gonna go through all of the footage and sort out the clips that I feel like are actual usable takes. Now, some of these we may use for social media later, so I'm gonna pull out basically all the usable stuff, even if I don't think it's gonna make it into this commercial specifically. And then once I have all of those clips good and ready to go, I'm gonna go ahead and bring in the music and start cutting in the footage from our actors that we just shot today. Once we get the talent footage put in, we'll go ahead and grab some of the clips from our B-roll from the shop and get it in chopped up as well. Then if we need to clean anything up with VFX, we can definitely jump in and do it at that point, and then we'll just do color and it'll be over. Makes it a really simple edit when there's no sound or anything like that we gotta do. Really, I think I could do this in about 2 hours if I wasn't bringing you guys along for the ride, but since I will be explaining some of what I'm doing as I'm going, definitely it could end up taking me, you know, 3-4+ hours to get this thing done. Now, this isn't gonna be a 3 or 4 hour video, of course. I'm gonna chop this thing up and make it real palatable and engaging for you. So with that said, let's jump into the computer. When I dove into the B-roll from the shop location, the big thing on my mind was shaky footage. Was I gonna be able to pull out enough clean, stable footage to make sure that I get something that genuinely looks professional? Normally when I shoot this type of footage, I'm used to relying on the built-in stabilization in the A7S III and A7 IV, but with the ZV-E10, I was putting all of the pressure of stabilization on a monopod, which isn't even a piece of filmmaking equipment that I normally use with my other cameras. But as I went through the footage, I managed to find way more footage than I would need for this commercial. Was some of the footage that I shot too shaky to use? Yeah, definitely. But thankfully, I shot enough footage that there was plenty to choose from that was stable and clean. All right, so I just finished sorting the B-roll. Next step is going to be to go through the talent footage and go ahead and cut that up and insert it into the timeline and see if we can't get a base cut for this commercial. So I've got the base edit of the talent section done, wrapped up. Something I did do here was for Allison's shot here, I went ahead and did a horizontal flip. So this is the actual clip, and here's a flip of it. It makes it look like it's a completely different scene, even though it's literally the same shot as Tim here. But with that flip, it makes it look like it's almost a different location entirely. So kind of works out there. Now, when we switch back to the Mentos, we aren't able to do that because we've got to have the Magic Glass logo reading correctly. What I might actually do, let's give this a shot. We might try flipping all of Tim's rather than hers. I kind of like that. Yeah, so then this needs to get, oh no, it is flipped correctly, so. Yeah, I kind of like that. I think that's what we're gonna do. I think we're gonna flip all of Tim's and leave hers alone, and I think that ends up looking great. The B-roll section didn't take long at all since I already had all the good shots pulled out on the timeline, so then it was just on to VFX. The first thing that I needed to do was actually make the windshield on the car have a crack in it since we used a perfectly fine windshield for the shoot. The client had actually specifically requested this as part of the cheesy 90s commercial vibe that we were going for, that the crack wouldn't look 100% real and that would have that kind of surreal, larger than life look to it. So I motion tracked the scene, grabbed a stock broken glass asset, masked it, did a little color correction, and dropped it onto the windshield. Then I added a little post-camera movement to transition from the start of the clip, focusing on Tim, to the second half that emphasizes the windshield. I also had to remove the edge of one of my C-stands from the frame, which I did by just exporting the layer as a JPEG and using Photoshop's AI to generate a clean plate. Then I tracked it back into the scene and called it a day. I wrapped things up with a quick split screen of the two actors and a crash zoom into the freeze frame at the end of the video. All right, so we're pretty much done at this point. Now we're just gonna color correct, maybe do a light grade, probably not gonna grade this one, probably just gonna do a color correction and then render it out and it's done. Now, I'm not gonna go too in depth on color correction in this video because I've already got a whole other tutorial on color correction and color grading in Premiere Pro. It's like a 15-minute tutorial and it's super in depth and it's step by step. So if you want some direction on color correction and grading, go ahead and check out that video. I'll make sure it's linked in the description. But other than that, I'm gonna wrap up this commercial with some color. So you will notice that this first shot here is quite a bit more blue than the rest of this shot. So this shot's pretty warm and this one's pretty blue. The reason for that is that I used a polarizer on the camera when I was doing this shot because I wanted to clear up all the reflections on the car windshield here. Basically, a polarizer just is able to cut through the reflections on the glass like this. Hopefully I've got a before and after that I can show you with the polarizer versus without the polarizer. So when we color correct, we are gonna have to add a little bit of that back in, which is really easy just with our temperature slider. We're just gonna slide that up a little bit, add a little bit of magenta into it, and we're real close to matching our other shot here. So you can see now, before just the raw footage with a little color added back into it, and it really helps it out. Of the whole commercial, this is definitely what takes away from the professional look the most. This off-color look doesn't have anything to do with the ZV-E10 though, and has everything to do with the cheap polarizer that I use to clear up the reflections in the windshield. All right, it is officially finished, 1:37 in the morning. I'm gonna write a quick email, schedule it out to go to the client first thing in the morning, and then get some sleep so I can get ready to get started on the next project tomorrow. The next morning, I woke up to an email from the client saying, and I quote, "Let's make it bat crazy. Challenge accepted." Hit it.
Hooray! I broke my windshield. This day couldn't get any better. Alright, I broke my windshield. Said nobody ever. But it's okay. You think fast and you're gonna go to Magic Glass. You know to go to Magic Glass. Replacements, recals, repairs at last. We'll help today at Magic Glass. You'll save the day at Magic Glass.
My mission with this YouTube channel is to show you that you don't need expensive cameras or equipment to make professional films. It's not your camera that makes a professional film. It's you releasing the life and vision inside of you no matter what equipment that you have access to. If you've been following my channel, you may notice that this video has been in a little different style than my normal content. Basically, I'm experimenting with a little bit different type of format. My goal with this one was, as much as possible, to actually bring you along for the journey of making a film, trying to let you organically see and experience the project with me. So I'd love to hear from you all. What do you think of this format? Would you like to see more videos like this? The channel is going to stay definitely very focused on narrative filmmaking, but if this kind of behind the scenes format is something that you like, please let me know and I can make more of it. With that said, like I said at the start of the video, if you're looking to improve the quality of your films on the Sony ZV-E10, you should really check out my top 10 recommended lenses and accessories for shooting cinematic films on the ZV-E10. Over there, I've got a ton of information on super affordable lights, microphones, lenses, tripods, and everything that you need to shoot films at the same level of quality that I was able to make happen with this commercial. You can find a list of them using the first link in the description below, which will take you to a special video that's not on YouTube, along with links to purchase all of the equipment I recommend. I'm keeping this list pretty up to date as new equipment comes out, which is why it's not on YouTube, so you'll definitely want to make sure that you check it out if you're in the market to improve the quality of your films.